All right, morning guys. Well, we're just doing a little housekeeping today. I don't know that I'm going to accomplish anything major, but there's a few little things that we can get done. I took when we bored this hole, my end mill that I plunged down through there came out with a hole just a little bit undersized. I took the brass stock that was supposed to fit in there, and it was a little bit too large. I just polished down the outside. I just took it to the buffer and by hand. And all I got's a sliding fit in there. Now this will get slots cut down both sides that will ride inside of this slot. So this will be riding here, up and down in that like that. I'm going to wait to do that. There's a couple other details on that too. Before I do anything else, I'll probably go back, cut the slot on the one side, bore our hole down through the center here that retains our tension screw, and then cut it to length and cut our slots on the other side. And then there's a couple of set screws that go into the side to lock that. But anyway, while I was thinking about it, before I got too far ahead of myself, I wanted to make sure I had a sliding fit in there. So I got that part done, and I am going to make a couple of changes to the screws in this portion of it here when we get that far. I've got a way that I think will make it a little bit easier and not compromise any strength or anything on it. So I'll do that when we get there. Otherwise, I'm just going to cut the pins for our slots in the bottom. I've already, or in the bottom arm, and they've already been fitted, drilled, reamed, all that stuff. And I've already marked the length of this pin. So all I'm going to do, and I took this end and ran it on the buffer. You know, there again, polish that end just so it can ride in there. As long as it retains on both sides, length is not critical as long as it's a little bit narrower than this assembly put together. So I've already marked it here. I'm going to go ahead and just cut it off with the cutoff wheel, and then we'll polish the other end of it and make sure it fits, is all I'm doing there. Normally when I cut these, I'm at the other bench. I've got the Fordham tool with a flexible arm. This is the Dremel tool that I had at this bench when I had it, when I still had the shop going. So we'll just bob it off. Hopefully we won't break a cutoff disc and all that good stuff. But since we're right here, rather than moving the camera, of course it's not like you've never seen a piece of drill rod cut to length before. And there we go. Now I'll let that cool off, just air cool, since we've already got it hot, I'm sure, with that little cutoff wheel. Now for those of you, just as a little aside, for those of you that are holding all your Dremel bits, and this is just the one that I had still in this bench, a nice little index holder for all your accessories works real nice out of a little 22 container, empty 22 long rifle container, if anybody really cares about that. So from that we got a somewhat straight cut on there. I'm going to lightly straighten that up on the belt sander that I'm not going to show, and then we'll come back and we'll buff the end of it off. Here's the ground end on this. This is the end that I polished before I cut it off. We're just going to take and polish this end the exact same way. And there's the other end polished. Hopefully that focuses and shows up okay. Anyway, assembly should be right in there, and as long as we're not proud on either side, which we're not, we're a little bit short there, that'll be just fine. That's our pivot assembly for the bottom section of it. This one should fit right in there just like that. There again, now we're getting closer to time to put these bushings, or start building the bushings and pins for the bottom. So that will stay just like that. Now there has been some talk. There has been some discussion from the guys that there's not enough clearance cut on these back cuts in this relief right in here. I don't know, I'm contemplating building some undersized bushings, just some steel scrap or aluminum scrap for a bushing to align these so we can check fit up, because I'm not going to push bronze bushings in until everything's blued up and done. So we want to make sure we've got full travel. And it looks like on this, unless something's really goofy that I'm not seeing already, I think there's plenty of room in my particular setup. So there's that done. Next, I don't know, one of the things that I'm going to have to do is build the screw. And I'm not sure what we want to do next. I'm going to build a screw, and what I think I'm going to do in this, well, it's better off when I show you when the screw is, but the way that the plans show this, why this hole is to accept our 3/8 threaded rod, but on this end it's just a turned end with a groove in it, basically with a couple of set screws that retain it there so it can't come out. The way it's put together, this is left full diameter, and then the threads are on up. So when you assemble it, once it's assembled, you really can't disassemble it without taking the pin out of the adjustment knob and undoing the whole assembly from the top. I don't think that's really necessary, and where I don't want to do the final assembly until it's blued, I can't do that anyway. So I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to turn the little nubbin that goes down in there just a little bit undersized, just a little bit under those threads, so that I can actually unscrew the thread from the top out of the assembly. That'll make more sense once we get there. But that, I think, is the change that I'm going to make to that. So anyway, the way it'll go is, like I say, we'll have our slots here on that. Then this will set in there. So, and that will be in alignment. So we'll see what happens here. I think I'm going to actually probably take a break until I figure out what I'm going to do. I've got some other stuff going on that has to be done, and I'm not sure I'm 100% invested in this little project this morning. Well, I started working on my little brass pieces. We saw yesterday I got this fitted in here, or day before yesterday, whatever it was. And I'm going to leave that set for right now. I'm kind of, I've moved to other things. I haven't worked on this for a few days, so we kind of tend to lose our direction. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to work on the shaft that goes through here, goes through this, and what this is a fit on here, so this can pivot up and down, and then the ends get turned down so that they're captured on both sides here, and that's 1/4 inch is what that is. So we call for a 1/2 inch boss in the center on this piece of drill rod. It's a little bit under that is what it everything measures out, as far as holes and everything. So or width-wise is what I guess I'm talking about. So we'll go back and just strip this down. All I'm gonna do is go to the lathe, and we'll turn the ends of this. And we'll go ahead and I'll move the camera over there, and we'll turn those down fairly quickly. It's not a big deal. They call for 3/8 extending out the side, which is what the thickness of both of the plates are. I've got extra space here. This is what, 1/2 inch, or yeah, I've got just about 1/2 inch here, but we don't need to have that fully supported. 3/8 is going to be just fine. So we'll just turn a 3/8 boss on each side so that it's a sliding fit in there, and it won't make a bit of difference beyond that. So, and these are both reamed to the same size, so if we fit them to this plate, why, that's all that matters. So I'm going to turn that down so it sits in there, give our spacing for this, and then turn down the other side. So all this is a quick turn. We're going to turn a 3/8 boss on this end. We're not going to worry too much about concentricity here on this, on the two bosses, or on the two ends that we turn down, because all it has to do is retain without distorting anything. It's actually going to pivot on the center. So if these are retained solid, that doesn't hurt a thing. So We'll turn down our little 3/8 diameters, and our hole in that plate, I suppose we could get out a plug gauge, but our hole's actually about 255.5, so that's what we'll shoot for. We'll just die chem this because we can. And our actual thickness of this plate is 366. Actually, I think we'll go to 375, and that way we can polish the end of that piece of rod, because that end will be exposed, so we'll make that look a little bit nicer. That should give us a nice fit there. Okay, length is, we could go just a hair deeper maybe. Doesn't matter, but maybe we will, just to make it look a little. There, now we're just a little proud of that, so we can just polish that end, get a nice little round button that'll be pretty flush. So I'm going to take this back out of here. I'm going to go over to the bench, and I'm not going to move the camera. We'll just go ahead, and I'm going to figure my distance for here and where we want to start cutting it down, and we'll go ahead and cut it off, and then we can cut the other side. We just bobbed it off straight. We've got the other end, we marked it up, chucked it back up on the center section. I'm going to just go back to the exact same mark that I had before, and I may try and take this all in one cut here. We'll see how it starts cutting. I haven't even faced off the end because I don't want to change the setup. I want to make sure my dials don't move or my compounds or cross slide don't move beyond. It's part of the problem of working on a wore out lathe is you run into issues with getting consistent cuts, so you got to be careful doing it. Okay, I'm still shy of the line. I'm going to take just a little bit more. I don't want to, I'd rather leave it a little bit tight and then work away at it and do a final fit, because I don't want it to slide, you know, too much back and forth in that, in between the two plates that retain it. That, I think, should be pretty close. Yep, And that will go on there. We'll leave that just like that. We can face off the end. And then if we need to, we can go back and sneak up on where it retains in between the two halves. All right, assuming we've got our length right, this part's pretty well done. We'll, I got to deburr it and things like that, but we'll go back over to the bench and see if we can't get that fitted up. Back here at the bench, went ahead and polished this end so I know which end goes out. The inside end isn't as important. Actually, the inside end isn't important at all, but we just want to make sure we've got our length right here for this boss. And it looks like we might be just a little bit long yet. Let's, I think we'll go ahead and put it back together and just see how it fits. So that will set in there like that. That will set in there. Yeah, we may be proud quite a bit there. I'm not sure yet. Yeah, we're quite a bit too wide there yet. So what we'll do is I'll just go back over and cut a little more off this. Okay, I trimmed back just a little bit more, and let's try and see how well this is going to fit here, if it's going to fit. As we add these pieces, things are probably going to change dimension just a little bit and tighten and loosen tolerances. And that feels really good right there. On the inside, it just protrudes back in. We've got about 3/8 of an inch. I wasn't real critical on the dimension there, although it is very close, but just however far it comes back in is just fine. So that will be that dimension. Yeah, that's a nice fit there. So that will work. So then the way it goes together up till this point. That will sit just like that. See, we're snug there. So as it works itself in and final polish, why that should be fine. Realistically, that won't open up very much. That's all the farther up it's going to come. Potentially to still retain, it could come down to about there. I think it's 2.5 inches is what they give as the range. I believe it's 2.5. I could be mistaken, but yeah, that's a snug fit by the time we finish fitting things down and things seat in a little bit. Okay, so there's the bottom one. Now the upper pin has brass bushings in both sides here, as well as here, I do believe. Let me go back and look at the drawings again, but I believe we've got a bushing here and in both of these. I don't want to push those bushings in, although we'll go ahead and build them, but I don't want to push them in until after it's blued, because as I said before, you can't run things like brass, bronze, aluminum through your bluing salts, because not only will it eat up the parts in a lot of cases like aluminum, hot bluing will, caustic blue will completely do away with the aluminum. It eats it up almost not instantaneously, but it eats it up at a very rapid rate, and it also contaminates your bluing salts, and bluing salts have gotten to be very expensive, so we don't want to contaminate them and have to throw out a couple $100 worth of salts right off the bat. So I don't want to push those bushings in until after I've got it blued. So what I think I'm going to do is I think I'll just take some aluminum round stock, and I think I will make some mock bushings that will fit our shaft itself the way it's supposed to, or awful close to, just so we've got an idea of how it goes, and then we'll leave just a light press or a light sliding fit going into both of these and through the upper arm. That way we've got an idea of how it actually is supposed to sit, make sure we've got clearances. One of the things that people said they've had a problem with is these arms hitting the not having enough clearance on the cutouts in the main body portions or the side plate portions. So if I can fit that up very closely, why then we'll have it blued and we'll have eliminated that problem or taken care of that problem. We won't have to shave off our nice fresh bluing to get a little more travel on them. So that'll be the plan, I think. Let me go and check the dimensions, and we'll start laying out our parts for this pivot arm up here and go from there. So, well, I'm going to stop this build portion right here, and we'll pick it up in part 8. But as many of you know, I've been somewhat irritated by the fact that I have not received knurls and have not, that I'd ordered when I ordered this kit. Now, I'm going to try and be as fair as I can be about this, and go through and give a brief history for those of you that have not heard this, you're seeing this for the first time or hearing about this for the first time, whatever the case may be. This is the second kit that I'd ordered from Hemingway Kits, and I'm here in the US, they're in the UK. They've got a pretty good reputation, I think, for the most part, about supplying their kits and things, and I've not built the first kit, which was their rotary broach. That will be coming up probably, depending on how this all turns out. But when I received the rotary broach kit, which was the first one I ordered, I was absolutely ecstatic with it. Their delivery time was stellar from the UK as far as I was concerned. It was within a week I had that kit here in my hands. And I'd ordered a couple of books with it and everything, but nonetheless it was a very good experience. So I turned around and ordered the knurling tool kit, and didn't hear anything, and I was so impressed, you know, with the first order that I'd been watching their website, and their website's been redone here before too long. It had order tracking on it. It had, I could go back in and look at my orders, exactly what I'd ordered, and what I'd spent, all of that good stuff when it was shipped and things. So I was very, very happy with the first order, and I picked out a few other kits here that I'd kind of planned on ordering as time went on. But anyway, this second kit was the Sensitive Knurling Tool that I'm working on now. And I ordered this kit and didn't really hear anything. It showed it being processed immediately, but then all of the tracking information and everything on my little portal there just gave me a 404 error. I couldn't see those orders other than to see that I'd ordered them, what I'd spent, and when I'd ordered them, and if they were completed. And it showed this knurling tool as completed, and when I'd ordered it, I ordered a set of straight knurls with it and a set of diamond knurls. And I'm not going to say they're a proprietary knurl, because I did find some that I had on some turret lathe tooling. But they're not a real common knurl that we see, so I kind of feel like you're almost tied in with buying their knurls with it. So I didn't hear anything from them, sent off an email, and a few days later, and I think I just sent the one email, why I got an email saying it had been shipped the 25th. And when tracking did show up to me, it showed the 27th. You know, I don't know what the deal was there. I'm not going to hash on that. I did receive the kit a few days later, and when I'd ordered it, it had showed the knurls in stock. So when I got the kit itself, why, it was lacking the knurls, and I'm looking at the invoice right here on my desk, and it says please read receipt, and it's got some green highlighter on it, and it shows the diamond knurls, and then highlighted below, after that, thanks for your order, we trust you'll enjoy adding this item to your workshop. Below that, why, It says, unfortunately, we are waiting for knurls to arrive. We will send these separately in around 4 weeks. Sorry for this aggravation. Well, that's still okay. That's not a big deal. It says on their website if they don't have something in stock, which may usually be castings, because they're waiting for them from the foundry. So, okay, this is not a big deal at this point in time. So I let some time go by, and I sent off an email inquiring, didn't hear anything. Sent off another email, didn't hear anything. I think I sent a total of 4 emails and never got a response. I was basically being ignored at that point in time as far as I'm concerned. Now, my position and my aggravation, as they put it at this point in time, or at that point in time, was the lack of communication. Had they taken 30 seconds to shoot me an email saying, we're still waiting on knurls, then it's not a problem. I understand supplier delays at this point in time. I've got problems with stuff that I produce with supplier delays and things like that. But nonetheless, I was being ignored at that point in time, and that lowers their status in me quite a bit right off the bat. And when I went back then and looked at the website, they showed knurls as being back ordered and would ship in approximately 6 weeks on the website then. So that's all still well and fine. And finally, I sent off an email it was when I released, or was getting ready to release part 6. So it would have been about a week ago. And said that I was editing the 6th part of this video series, and I was going to release it on Wednesday, which I ended up and released it on Tuesday. If I hadn't heard back from them by Friday, I was going to do a video about a review of my service from them. So, and in the interim, I'd had a comment on one of my videos on this kit saying that someone else had a problem with not receiving the proper size stock and had never received that stock. So things are, and I was fairly aggressive in my email. The very next day, I got an email back saying, sorry for the delay. We've had a tremendous amount of people ordering these kits. And I get that. I'm one of those people that's ordered that kit. But supposedly my knurls had reached the U.S. on the previous Friday, and I should be receiving it this week, which would have been last week. I believe it was Saturday, and this may have been a couple of weeks ago because I haven't, anyway, I guess it would have been a week ago. I ended up and received it on that Saturday, and got the knurls in, and the straight knurls are fine. I'm going to throw up a couple of pictures here of the diamond knurls that I received, and we'll talk about them a little bit. And I feel, honestly, all of this could have been avoided with a quick email, stating our position as time went on, because I was already aggravated with this, or irritated exceptionally by this. I'm going to throw up pictures here of the left and right hand diamond knurls. The left hand knurl is on the left, and if we look at this, there's not a bit of problem with this knurl. It looks like freshly manufactured. The coloring, condition, engraving depth, and everything on this left hand knurl looks very similar to the straight knurls that I got. They were new production stuff. When we look at this right hand knurl, this is a piece of shit. So if we look at this, we look at the rings around the edge, we look at the pitting that we've got on this knurl, and the depth of the engraving, a little bit different discoloration. I suspect this is a knurl that initially did not pass quality control, or there was a problem with it. It's been sitting on a shelf for who knows how long. It's got some corrosion on it, which in and of itself is not a big deal. But to me, it looks like this is a old knurl, a used knurl. Something's not right with it. So if appearances in this condition is the only thing it was, I would not complain about this. It would be a usable knurl. But if we go on and we look at the next picture that I have here, when we look at all of this right up, down, around through here, this is not cut straight. This is not a usable knurl. This is not going to give a decent knurl pattern on anything. So at this point in time, I'm very displeased with Hemingway kits. you know, and I hate making a video like this. You know, I want you to make your own decisions. A lot of people have not had any problems at all ordering from them. I had not had any problem with my first order. At this point in time, unfortunately, I will not be placing another order anytime soon, if ever. They've got several kits that I would like to have. There was a few things that I could use for my future projects, for the shop that would be very useful to me. But at this point in time, I do not consider them, from my position, to be a supplier that I really want to deal with. I want you to make your own decisions. You know, this is just my point of view at this point in time. If Hemingway chooses, and in their email that I got from them finally saying my knurls were in the United States, they said they'd been watching my series, so I'm going to assume that they're going to see this video. If they choose to do something to remedy this situation, that's fine. I will report that back to you in a favorable light. If they choose not to, when I finish this series, I will do a review of this whole thing and my experiences with Hemingway, and I will relay that to you also. But this, you know, this is not a good thing. Now, there again, I can understand things making it through quality control. They've got a backlog. They're trying to fill these orders and everything. But I would have thought that since I've kind of gotten kind of pissy about this whole thing, they would have wanted to make sure that my order was right and complete. Well, I guess they're considering it complete, but I would have assumed they would have wanted to make sure that I got quality product that I'd ordered. So I'm going to leave it at that. I'm not wasting my time emailing back. Excuse me. I'm not wasting my time emailing back and forth. If they choose to make this right, that's entirely on them. I'll report to you one way or the other what happens with the outcome of this. I've got a few more installments in this series. You know, we'll see what happens. But I'm done, I guess, basically wasting my time on things like this. So this has been my experiences with them. Like I say, I don't like doing a review like this. I don't like to put out bad press. They're a company doing very similar to the little things I try and do with the Atlas machines and stuff. So in producing parts and doing a reasonable job, hopefully. So I don't want to be trashing on them, but we should be aware of what we're receiving from these different companies, whether it's mine, whether it's somebody else's. So that's where we're at. You know, hopefully you've found this useful. Hopefully you're finding this little video series useful. I think I'm going to end up with a wonderful little tool when I'm done. So, you know, make your own decisions as to how you want to take the information that I'm putting forth here. So anyway, hopefully you find this a little bit useful. If you've got any comments for me, leave them in the comment section for me below, guys. And as always, thanks for taking the time to watch.